From the bayous in Louisiana to the timber country up north, you'll find them out on the trap line, chasing furs to put up on the board. Mixing up another batch of that magical stuff, chilling around the fire after the show. Hey, it's Sarah and Jeff, and maybe a guest on the Trapping Radio 2.0.
Hi, and welcome to Trapping Radio 2.0. This is Jeff Dunlap. I'm running this operation for the week, and I'm hoping everybody is getting ready for trapping season, already has traps in the ground. We have traps in the ground already. Well, we had them. We had to pull them because we had to run down to Iowa to a wedding. We also had to come down, and we're marking trails for coon, and we are also pre-staking some stuff. So it just is fun to get out here and go out and start doing it again. We've been talking about it since last season ended, and now we're going back and getting ready to get out there and get after it. We wasn't able to get a bunch of stuff set out in Michigan. I think we had have under a dozen traps set because we knew we were only going to be able to have them set for like 3 days, but we had to get out there and get it. And I'm sad to say that on the sets that me and Sarah had in, she on catch percentages she kicked my butt. So, but she's lucky for her. Didn't have them in the ground longer because I was getting ready to really show her who the boss was on that. So actually, thank God we had to set them off and I'd get a new start. So it's round one, Sarah. But what we're going to talk about this week is, I don't know. When I'm sitting here for an hour talking, we could end up on anything. What we're going to start off talking about is beaver trapping with drowners and the system that I use particularly. It's switched over the years because new technology comes out, and can you go with the old technology? Absolutely. Does it make my life easier? My thing is I enjoy going out trapping, and I don't like working on traps. So I don't like hooking a whole bunch of different stuff up. I like having everything uniformed, go out and set my line up, as easily as possible. And I just like being out there, and I don't want to, have to do the wire anymore. I enjoy the system that I have. We're going to talk about different systems that I've used, that I didn't like, and stuff like that. So what the system I use now is I use the fiberglass rods, and then we're going to talk about every different situation. I mean, if you're in, Pennsylvania or out in eastern New York, where, I can't think of the town, like let's say, like 2 or 3 hours north of New York City, up in that area, basically where you see all the walls built out of rock, the flat rock that they shot at the British with. No, that isn't going to be where every spot you go to, you can use a fiberglass rod. Can you use some? Absolutely, because you can stick them underneath with the fiberglass rods. You can stick them underneath of a rock and stuff, and wire them off to a tree. But there might be simpler ways to go about setting up the stuff rather than try and force in sets. But what I use now, like when I go to Iowa, it works great. In most of the spots it works great. where you can get a 30-inch stake in the ground fairly regularly. Is I got the fiberglass rod, 8 foot long. Some people want them 10 foot long. I like them 8 foot long because then I can slide them in sideways, for like going out of state or long hauls, diagonal in the box. And, just a 10 foot is not going to fit in my truck. And, it'd be sticking out the back. So I use the 8 foot rods. Jeff Haggerty's system I use on them. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up at j3outdoors.com, or F&T sells them, Funky sells them, which we probably should talk about our sponsors. So here we are jumping all over the place. We'll just do this quickly. F&T is a sponsor for this show. They have everything you need for outdoor hunting, trapping, dog supplies, everything. They have an awesome store up to Alpena, Michigan. So, check out F&T. They do a lot for trapping and promoting trapping, and they always give tons of donations. So, check them out at fnt.com, fntpost.com. And then we also have Funky's Outdoor Supply. Alan Sayer, he's a real good friend too, and just give Alan a look and see what he's got on his website at funkytraptags.com. And he makes trap tags, F&T makes trap tags, and they both do a really great job. So anyways, we covered that. Paid the bills, as they would say. But you can go to either one of them sites and get Jeff Haggerty's products. What it is on the one end, you have a stopper, because when you put your lock on, your drowning lock on, you don't want it to go off of the end. If the end comes out of the mud, because you're going to stick the one end in the mud, you don't want your block to just free flow right off the end. I've had that happen before, where whatever came loose, the end pulled and it came off, and so you want to make sure that is really, whatever you're putting on the end, whether Haggerty system, a bolt and pounding it down, or heating it up and pounding it down, whatever you're putting on the end that you stick in the mud, it's on really good. So you got whatever on about a foot up from the bottom, and then on the other end you have, with the way the Haggerty system is I'm trying to think, it's like a cap that goes on the end, and then you beat it a little bit with a punch tool in like 3-4 spots, and then it stays around there. And then what you have is you have the lock on the trap, and then it slides over that cap you have on the end, and then you would run has a hole in it, and you have the T-bar that runs down through the hole in the cap. And, if you watch any of our videos, you'll see us use them. I mean, that's a system we use. I mean, lots of people know that's what we use. And the system works really good. At first, I didn't like it because I used to have it on my old ones where you had to keep the trap right on the rod. But it's and when I first started using the Jeff system, I tested the prototypes for them. I really didn't like having the trap separate, but I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a lot better. I think it is, to be able to just take the traps off and throw them in a thing, rather than they're all tangled up. You throw them, don't disconnect them. You throw them up all together in the corner so the rods don't blow out, and then everything's all tangled up. So it's a lot more convenient to be able to slide them off. We'll say with that system, if you don't take care of them and they get a little rust on them, you might have to put them on a wire wheel, and take a little bit off. It ain't a big deal. You do them, 100 of them you could do real quick, in 20 minutes or a half hour. And if you paint them, don't give them 2 or 3 coats of paint, because the lock will have a hard time sliding over, or won't at all. then you'll have to wire wheel it again. So one time Sarah was going to do a demo. I thought it'd be nice and paint all of her stuff up nice for her. And she gets up in front of everybody. And I just happened to walk in there at that time. And she couldn't get the damn lock to go on because I had painted it with 2 or 3 coats, not realizing it at that point. So, I'm telling you to don't, do as I say, not as I do situation. So, I'm just basically trying to give you the stuff where, it's caused me problems, some more severe, like that situation, than others. But the other thing I carry with me for the lock situation when you get out on the line is I went and bought a wire brush I carry. I also have it's a wire brush, not like one like one that looks like you brush your teeth with, but it's more pointed. It's right on the rod, and it's kind of circular. And it'll go inside of like a circle, and then I can do the inside of them locks if I need to like hit it one real quick with a little wire brush, and it goes just like in and out through it. And that worked. I carry that right in my bag. I don't have to have it most of the time, but when I need it, it's nice to have it in there. So that's a system I use now. Yeah, like I say, you get out, in rocky country, it's nice to have a couple of them in the truck, them rods, but you might have to go more with bags or, run, 9-gauge wire and wire it off to a rock. The main thing is getting it out there. Where that beaver is not going to get tangled up on the bank. They have a real soft foot. You want to you don't want them tangled up on the bank for the reason that you don't want any twist outs, and that was caused by like vegetation, stuff like that, getting wrapped up in the swivels. So if you get them off the bank, and there isn't a bunch of weeds and stuff out there, they'll just be right there. If there's nothing to get tangled up on, because them swivels are working. So it's important to put that beaver, when you catch it, right where there isn't a bunch of vegetation. If you can't drown them out, put them where they can't get all tangled up. If you're was trapping otter, it's not as big a deal, because it's a big deal, but it's not as big a deal because the otter's got a really tough foot. I've never had one twist out. So the thing is, it's not a big deal. But with beaver, it is definitely a big deal, because they will twist out. And then you got a real freaking nightmare on your hands. But you can catch them. Sarah calls them, if we catch a 3-legged beaver, she calls them Nick Ernie Beaver. So, Nick don't like it, but it is funny. It's funny every time I laugh every time she says it. I like you see when I think about it, I start laughing. We're busting out Nick's balls. So sitting here drinking some Trapline coffee, making fun of Nick. How could it get any better than this, guys? But the other systems that I started out using was, and I still use it sometimes, is like I say, the 9-gauge wire, where I'll run the 9-gauge wire off the bank. You could, if it's real rocky, you can wire it off to a tree and then go out and wire it to a rock. Look someplace where there's a big rock, and wire it to the big rock. And I went through, I see on Facebook a lot of times people that are just starting beaver trapping, and the thing is what they do is they will go and they'll get one of the plates, like you get, I don't know what the technical term is, but the plates that you get off of the railroads where they run the spikes down through, you find them on the side of the railroads where they replaced track and stuff, or they pulled the tracks out, and somebody will put one of those on and throw it out, and then they're like, the beaver, drug it up on the bank. Well, of course they drug it up on the bank. You have to use some weight. I mean, they are a powerful animal, and if you throw a 5 pound weight out there, they're going to drag it up unless that weight gets hooked behind something. Like if there's a log out there and it's hooked behind the log where they can't pull it, then they're going to pull it up. Like the wheel weight things, I don't know what they're called. They're the wheel weights things, and you throw them out there, or like the window weights, the old window weights that are long and tubular. I've used those before, 2 or 3 of them. The great big ones, and I've had better luck with them. But if you got something flat, and like you got a clay bottom, a sand bottom, a gravel bottom, if you don't have a lot of weight out there, they're gonna get up on the bank and they're gonna drag that right up. Because I mean they don't have to drag it up that all the way up on the bank. Generally they will, but they only have to drag it. Say they get caught and go down like a foot, they've only got to drag it out where a little bit to get it tangled up on the bank or around your stake if they jack that up a little bit. So you just want to make sure that you use plenty of weight. I like using I've used NAFA bags, especially when I was pissed off at NAFA. And now that's the best thing to use NAFA bags for, or kindling. And after this, what they pulled with all the trappers, and the thing is you can use like a NAFA bag or a F&T sells them. Now I use these. I bought them from Lowe's or Menards. They were orange. So if I was trapping private property, I used them. But if you got clear water, like in Michigan, trapping private or public ground, you definitely don't want to use them. But the F&T ones, the black ones, they got a little tie thing on them. You can throw rocks in there. You can shovel dirt, sand, whatever, and throw it out there. You fill them up with sand, dirt. The beaver, except for very rare circumstances, is not going to pull that up on there. You fill that up with rocks and throw it out there, they're not going to pull it up on there. So I'll take that and tie that wire around that, throw it out, hook it to a tree or something on the bank. Make sure my lock is going the right way, because if you put your lock on backwards, they're going to be stranded right where the trap was in that area. So put your lock on and then have it run, down into the deeper water. And the other system I use is using 3/32 7x7 cable. I know some people like using 8-inch 3/32. I've never had a beaver chew on it or chew through it unless they pulled the weight up, and then they still weren't getting away because of the cable. It's just all tangled up. But the 7x7 3/32 cable works fine. It's fairly reasonably priced. It used to be, but like everything else has went through the roof. And those are the systems that I pretty much use. Even though I'm running in the areas I'm in, I'm running mostly the fiberglass rods. I will use, I always have a wire in my bag, the 9-gauge wire. And what I do is I put on the end of the wire, I'll take one drowning lock, put on there in case I, need one. And I always have one with me in case, something happens. And I'll have, that roll of wire cutters, and I also have a few cables, in the truck too, And most time on your line, like your home line, hey, I'm going to be stopping over here off of Long Rapids Road by the dam. It's rocky there. I can't get a rod in. I'm gonna need one over there. So I mean, the longer you run your line, the better you know it, and you know what you're gonna need. It's like we're running in some areas. I'd take 4 dozen traps. If we're running in another area, I know we don't need 4 dozen. I'm only gonna take 2. you know, because I mean, it's good spots, but there just ain't a lot of them, you know. So you get to know your line over the years, and if you don't, you need to. So those are, you know, pretty much the systems I use, and you know, those work good on dams. You know, I mean, you know, all the systems work good on dams. You know, if you can set dams in your state, you know, I use them a lot in caster mount sets. Even if I go like into a beaver pond in the fall, you know, I used to be 330, 330, 330. My favorite set was always, it was always 330 lure sets. That was my favorite. I mean, that's what I was raised doing. You know, my dad, you know, he was out, you know, trapping, and you know, it was legal to do it, or he trapped, and you know, he'd use 330 lure sets. You know, and I mean, you come there, it's dead. You just reset the trap, put it back on there, and wait for the next one to come. You know, but you know, now they have to be like we're out in Michigan, they have to be half submerged, and the thing is you know, with the population higher where I'm at, you know, it's not always the best set, and I don't want to be the guy that catches somebody's dog and causes a problem for my state or any place I'm visiting. So, you know, do I still set the 330 lure sets? Absolutely, I do. You know, but mostly went with footholds. Not that they can't cause you problems, because well, I won't go into that, but they can still cause you problems. So you got to make sure, you know, you don't run some dog down to drown her. But because nobody takes accountability for themselves anymore, it's always your fault. Even if you're on your own property, it's always your fault. I've never seen. That's a part, and this is gonna be a little rant. I've never seen where you have permission on a property. I mean, what does this country come to where you pay taxes on a property, and I give you permission to come trap my property, and then some dog owner over here lets his dog run loose, and me and you are the assholes because we're doing something on my property that we have every right to be there, and they don't have any right to be there. Yet we're the assholes and got to watch what we're doing. That is like crazy shit. So that's my little rant. I could go on about that for an hour, because it really does piss me off that, you know, other than a dog owner, I mean, who would tell you what you could do on your property? You know, I mean, the homeowners and people do not take responsibility at all. So, anyways, that's why I don't, because of people like we're just discussing. Don't set as many 330 lure sets. You know, it's like I go to Louisiana. You got every legal right to set them any set you want down there. There's only two laws: 24-hour check, teeth in the, you know, no teeth, you know, and I mean there's a few other ones, but you know, those are the main ones. And you know, and I still, that doesn't mean if I go down to a boat launch, because I got the legal right to put a 330 there and it's legal, it's not the best policy, you know. So, you know, if you are going out using 330s and just getting into beaver trapping, you know, just don't go flinging steel like that wherever, because, you know, you cause yourself problems. And just because you're legally right doesn't mean you won't get personally sued. You know, I was legally right in Michigan. I caught a dog up there in a 220. I got sued over it. I won, but you know, I was doing everything legally right. Wasn't around any houses. Wasn't any, and I got sued over it. And I went in before the magistrate, and the magistrate was filling in for the judge, and the guy says, "Listen." The magistrate says, "Listen, we're just gonna, you know, have him figure out how many pups dog would have had. It would have been, and then, you know, basically when you guys come back, Dunlap, you're paying." And so I was going back figuring. I mean, this is a long time ago. I mean, this is a long time ago, and I figure I'm going to be paying. And the judge was back from vacation, and he threw it out as an act of God. He goes, I don't know what he was talking about. You're not getting paid. This was a legal set. He wasn't, doing anything wrong. It's just sometimes bad things happen, and it was an act of God. And I felt bad about the guy's dog, but I don't want to pay $30,000 for a $500 dog either. Because that's how it always is. So that's what I'm saying. You doesn't if you get that magistrate, it could cost you $30,000 on a $500 dog, because every dog that gets killed is never a shit eater. So you're going doing this for fun. You're not making $1 million out there doing this. So just be careful to protect yourself and protect other trappers, and especially if you go out of state. You really watch what you do, because the thing is we're all Americans, but when you go to a different state, and they let you trap there, you're an invited guest. And if you're going to somebody else's house, act accordingly. Don't be a shithead asshole that just leaves all your stuff on the floor in the bathroom and causes somebody else a problem. So that's one reason I went more to footholds. And I had the same success rate, maybe more, with the footholds. It just takes a little bit more time to set it up with putting the rod in and doing all that, but that's all right. That's what I'm out there for. But I like using like I say, in the beaver ponds. If I'm going to go into a beaver pond, I'm going to make caster mount sets. It doesn't matter if I'm going out helping somebody. I'm not an ADC trapper, but if I got a farmer that has a problem, I go over there and help them out. And even in the summertime, I'll make caster mount sets and stuff like that. And I hear different people say, well, caster doesn't work in the summertime. Bullshit, it don't. And you say, now if you go down south, caster doesn't work as good as it does up north. Bullshit. I've caught thousands and thousands and thousands of beaver on big pile that's got caster in it down in Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. I could go Arizona. So, and we got in trouble at Arizona. The ranchers didn't want the beaver caught, because they don't have that much water, and it was in the Alamo River, and so they weren't as happy in Arizona with us killing their beaver as like a landowner in let's say Alabama, in Butler, Alabama. So yeah, we weren't the big heroes on that one. But I go in there and use that. If I go and get a catch, or if I have a miss, I know it's hard to believe I have a miss, but anybody tells you they don't is lying, or doesn't trap anymore and just talks about it. But if I have a miss, I'll switch over, like with Big Pile, I'll switch over to, Dead Man's Hand, something like that to switch it up. I'll leave that set in, and then I'll move over and put in, like a post set, something like that, to try and pick up that beaver. Basically, I'm trying to change up what scared him or her into something else, and, have it look like something else. And, there's sometimes just, when them beaver get spooked, they just, they're hard to catch. I had one I never did catch. Couldn't catch it. I tried everything. Sarah claims she caught it, but, this was like the Moby Dick beaver, and Moby Dick beaver was not, like a 10-pound beaver. This Moby Dick beaver was probably like, I don't know, in my mind, I would say a 70-pounder, and its brain was like half the body weight. So, because I went, and on this beaver, I did like a 330, half submerged, out in the creek with the beaver smeared above, or the beaver lure smeared above. He would build a caster mound, I'd build a caster mound. I'd set his, he'd go build another one. I'd set that one, keep moving. Me and him were like playing, chess. I was playing checkers, and that beaver was playing chess. And, and then Sarah, and this, Sarah went, and this we're talking about, changing things up. She went and put her muskrat love on a on 1.5 for muskrats, and said, well, maybe, it'll come into this. And I'm like, there ain't no way in hell it's coming in. Anyways, she did catch a beaver, and then that other one quit. I will have to admit it did. Maybe that one getting caught scared it because it never went back and built any more caster mounts after that. I don't know. I think me and Sarah have, and you should draw your own conclusions. So, but she did catch a beaver on muskrat love, and then there was no more problems. So I don't know. I don't want to think too deep into this, but the thing is when I go into them ponds, that's that's my go-to set is a caster mound. I mean they're territorial even in the summertime and stuff. And then you get in the spring and it just cranks on. And that's my favorite time to trap beavers in the springtime. We went through the whole winter. If you're in the north, you dealt with cold and ice and freezing, and if you're in the middle, you've been dealing with, snow, rain, mud, snow, froze, mud, more mud, more mud, more mud. You all know what I'm talking about. And if you're in the south, you've dealt with rain, 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 cold, freezing, more rain, and so in the springtime up in the north, it's really nice just to get out there in the springtime, and it's like hoodie weather, which is my favorite kind of weather, and some days it gets hot and you're in a t-shirt. So it's just that's my favorite beaver trapping is spring beaver trapping. Plus like right now, if we start beaver trapping, like this is October, say in November 1st when the season opens in my area in Michigan. I go into there's got to be beaver cuttings there. If there isn't a beaver there, there's no sense setting it. In the springtime, on any river, all I need to do is have a spot to, a 5-foot spot to put, a couple traps in, and I'm trapping the whole damn river, 20 miles up, 20 miles down, any beaver that on that water fluctuation, because, they're kicking out the 2-year-olds. And they're on the move looking for their own area. And plus, with the water fluctuation, if the beaver get flooded out, they're going to be moving on that high water. And then when the water drops, they're fluctuating back. So, that's why I like the spring season because of, it's just a fun way to trap for me. And a lot of other guys, especially like in Minnesota, they do exceptionally well out there. They got a lot of beaver, but a lot of them guys, are piling them up, and a lot of good beaver trappers in Minnesota. But I like to, get out there and have fun doing it, and that's like I say, my favorite time of year, to trap them, but now. You got to go in the fall, go hunt them down. In the spring, they'll hunt you down. And that's the way I like it. Get out of the truck, walk 20 feet, set the traps, walk back to the truck, drive to the next spot. And repeat, and repeat, and repeat. So, but this fall, we got some beaver complaint problems that they want trapped. A November beaver generally looks like crap in northern Michigan. And you can even trap them October 25th in the UP. October and beginning November beaver just don't look good. I generally don't trap them a lot anymore. Unless right alongside the road where the ADC business for the county is going to come and do it, or the USDA is going to go trap them. But generally I just, leave them till later, especially when beaver prices were down. Nobody but the USDA or the county trapper was going to go trap them anyway. So for the most part in our area, now everybody's a beaver trapper up there. But But so now what we're going to be doing is, going trapping. We got some raccoons sold, and I've talked to some buyers that are going to be buying raccoons, and they ain't going to buy no junk. I mean, they want good big raccoons. If you're catching little ones, turn them loose, or for a farmer, shoot them and dispose of them properly. Just the way it is. But we got some Iowa raccoons sold. A few big northern Michigan ones where we sell them to these people for hats every year, and so we got some sold. I mean, they want them because they're great color for the hats, and they're a little bit lighter than the northern Michigan coon as far as when they're tanned, and easier to work with, but still a heavy coon. So that being said, I mean, I know that there's going to be some guys buying, but the thing is, it's like I see somebody, again on Facebook, where somebody's trapping coon in northern Wisconsin where they're, western heavies, just awesome coon. And somebody in Alabama is asking, why are you trapping coons? They're not worth nothing. Well, no, an Alabama coon is not worth anything. It just isn't. Other than the meat, which if you live down there, I don't know why you wouldn't be selling the meat and just throw the hide away. But, you're talking about two different animals. I mean, a coon, there's, maybe get 12, 14 bucks still in the big coon in northern Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota, that area, which is even bigger than the coon that we have in northern and lower peninsula in Michigan. The thing is you can't compare what a Louisiana raccoon to northern Wisconsin. But people think that because it's a raccoon, it's a raccoon. It ain't. Your adult raccoons look like these ones babies, and it looks like they're babies in July, So, it's like with our raccoons in northern lower peninsula where I live. A year old. A coon that was born in the spring in December is going to stretch generally 27 to 29. If you get late litters in that, of course there are going to be some smaller one, but a lot of times they're going to be a 27 to 29 inch coon. So, I mean, I've caught a lot of raccoons in Louisiana that were 27 to 29, and they were a hell of a lot older than 9 months or 6 months or whatever the hell it is. So it's just they're different. I sold a lot of coon I caught, say, in Louisiana. There's like two for sure different kinds. There's a semi-heavy, and I've done real good on them. And then you got the coat coon, and I haven't never done as well. If we were in 1985, we do really good on them coon. Not so much now. But but you get a lot of the guys that and girls that it's like you say, well, coon aren't worth anything. I'm not going trapping them. They said the same thing. I always said, if you don't go trap it when the price comes up, if it does come up, you don't have any to sell anyways. And the way the market now is if let's say something goes up now, that don't mean shit next year. That's done. It could be good. It could probably be bad. It's like a 1 year market, and you have to hit it when it's hot, or you're just you lost out. But last fall, guys were saying, I'm not going trapping beaver for $5. And I'm like, I love going trapping them. That's what I do. I'm going to do it. And what we averaged in the end was we averaged $24 on grease beaver, and that was Louisiana beaver, Arkansas beaver, Iowa beaver, and northern lower peninsula beaver. So from 4 states, all over the board on what they look like, we average $24 and count them for grease beaver. And if you don't know what grease beaver is, that's just skinned and frozen. So I mean that's pretty good. When we were in Louisiana, we sold them to a buyer down there, and that would be right before it started coming up, and we got $9 in the carcass with the casters cut out. And then we had some grease ones. I think we had like I don't know, let's say 130, 140 grease ones, and then a pile of on-skinned ones, and they all averaged $9. And we were thrilled to get the $9, especially they're going to pay us $9. I sold them the year before, and only got 9. The year before I got 5, averaged 5 or 6 in grease, and then the year before that I got 9. And then so if you can sell them in the carcass, I'm like, shit, this is a pretty good deal. And there's lots of beaver, so. But the thing is if we hadn't went and trapped them and we didn't have them built up all season, when we could get to $24, we wouldn't have had any. Wouldn't have had the beaver to sell. It's like right now you could get $24 for grease beaver. So I get people contacting me all the time wanting to buy the beaver this year already. So that's what I'm saying is if the coon market goes up, I'm not saying it's going to, but if it does, let's say it goes up in January, where are you going to go get the coon? I mean, they're going to look like shit. They've been in the dens most likely. They're going to be pissed all over each other, piss stained, and they ain't worth shit. Even on a good coon market, they ain't worth shit. So if you don't go out and you don't get them, and the market does go up, like the beaver market did, because people say, well, the market's dead forever. That's what they said, and I mean, you're getting $24 and counting them on grease beaver. Now, that seems pretty, the way that things, that doesn't seem dead to me. And so that's the thing is everybody has to make their own decisions. I go out and try and find markets to sell the stuff. Do I want to, necessarily go out there and kill something and then just throw it in the ditch? No, that ain't really me. But I'll go out there and work and try and come up with markets to sell it. And like last year, most of the people that went to, like the state sales and stuff, I mean, if you took something in there, somebody bought it. I mean, was it for $1 million? No, not necessarily. But you could sell it, and you didn't have to throw it away, and you were helping out turkeys and rabbits and all the other stuff, so, which a lot of people care about that, so. Everybody has to make their own decision on what they do and what, the lines they cross or don't cross, but, for me, I'm going to be out there trapping. I'm a trapper. I'm not a deer hunter. I'm not a rabbit hunter. I'm not a hound guy. I self-identify as a trapper, and that's it. If you identify as a trapper, you'd think that would mean that you go trapping. Doesn't have to be 200 traps in the ground, but you damn sure ought to set one. Because you can't soak your line for 20 years and still qualify as a trapper. You could say I'm a trapper's ally. I believe in trapping, but if you don't set traps since 1982 and you ain't doing nothing to support trapping, you're not a trapper. I don't consider myself a deer hunter. Have I ever went deer hunting in my life? Absolutely. But I haven't went deer hunting. I'm trying to think. I'm guessing 15 years. And if I go deer hunting this year, which I'm planning on, I still don't call myself a deer hunter. So that's the thing is, be a trapper. Go out there and set a few traps. Have fun. If you know some kids, take some kids out. They love it. And that was some of my best times last year down here coon trapping in Iowa. They, taking the kids out and they get all excited and set the trap here, have them shoot some videos with them. I mean, we just had a ball. That's my fondest memories last year of trapping was going out with Sarah's nieces and nephews and stuff like that. It was just a ball, and they'll remember that their whole life. And the thing is maybe sometime they won't identify themselves as trappers, and maybe they'll never go set another trap the rest of their lives. But you know what? They're not going to be against trapping, and that's just as important. Having people that are on our side that may not do it, the people in the middle, and it's fun to get out there. I mean. You're going to spend your hard-earned money. Gas right now is like, I don't know, let's say $3.50 a gallon. It costs money to go do it, but it costs money to go do everything else too. It costs money to go to the movies. It costs money to, just survive. And if you really enjoy trapping, I would get out there. It's going to cost, but. Hopefully, if you live in a northern state, you can go to like a state sale and unload them and at least get some back. But I'm gonna be out there regardless. I'll find some place to sell them. Maybe I can't sell 1,000 of them, but somebody out there will buy 3, 4, 500. But yeah, and. We still got, from the coon we caught last year, we had still got 100 in the freezer. I scraped some of those and they still look good. We put them in Walmart bags, and we went and bunched them all up, kind of rolled them up and put one in a Walmart bag, then tied it, and just threw them in the freezer like that. And I had never done that before. But they weren't freezer burned or anything, except for one had some dots on it, which might have been freezer burnt, might not have been. I wasn't sure. But we talked to Ben at Sleepy Creek and said, if we send them in, because I don't want to sell them to somebody, then they have problems with them. We just tan them ourselves. Would them dress out? And he said, once they're tanned and dressed out, that the very, very seldom does the hair come out of them. They should be good to go. So, if you got any fur that, might be possibly freezer burnt, that's a good tip. I'm glad that we got from Ben. So, because that's where we send our stuff to get tanned is, Ben out to Sleepy Creek. He handles, Sarah's products, and, you got people that take good care of you, you got to take good care of them. And he does a great job. And the other thing I like is, I could get the owner on the phone if there's a problem. There's somebody to bitch at. Not that I'd bitch at Ben necessarily, but if I wanted to, I'd get him on the phone to do it. So, I like that, where you're dealing, with a company that's big enough to do a lot of stuff, a lot of fur, but still small enough that you could get the owner on the phone. I call it the Moyles. I don't think I'm getting the owner on the phone. So. Maybe you can. I can't. I think there's zero chance I'm going to get him on the phone, if it's even a man. It could be a woman these days. So, so with the one last thing, I'll cover before we go. If you're just starting out trapping. And you need any help, if you just reach out to me or Sarah, we try and help people as much as we can. And, a lot of times people don't want to ask questions in public, like on Facebook or, YouTube, because they think that people are going to pile on them. And being honest, there's a lot of times that they do. You're a beginner and you don't know something, and they forgot 25 years ago they learned it from somebody else. And you're the dummy because you don't know. They didn't know shit either, I mean, if they knew, why do they call it a dirt hole? I mean, if they knew it all by themselves, why do they call it a dirt hole? I mean, that's the industry standard. Apparently, somebody taught them that because they didn't come up with the name dirt hole on their own. You know, just like you didn't, and I didn't. You know, so you know, but if you are a new trapper getting into it and you need help, if you reach out, we don't make fun of anybody. You know, because they don't know. Um, you know, we definitely want to help you. You know, because I feel this way and Sarah feels this way. You know, if you're successful out there and having a good time, because being you can have a good time and not be successful. Time after time after time of no success doesn't always breed the you know, it breeds discouragement, and we don't want you to get discouraged. And if we can help you in some way, you know, we definitely are there for you. If you want help, we're there to help. Um, you know, it's you know, people are going to say, well, you just do this and it's easy. You know, even trapping raccoon, all you got to do is go set the, you know, the DP in the ditch. Yeah, in October, November, you know, that, yeah, that works great. You know, what about when the corn's picked and they are moved back down and it got cold and they're not in the cornfields anymore, that they're down on the water, you know? Yeah, I mean, everything, it's not as easy as everybody says. Yeah, when you're sitting on the computer screen talking about it on Facebook or telling your stories from 32 years ago, everything's easy. When you're actually the one out there doing it and not succeeding, it's not that easy. Because everybody has horror stories. I have horror stories. Everybody has. Clint has horror stories. Jeff Haggerty has horror stories. Nick Ernie has horror stories. Everybody has failed. You just don't see the failures, you know. So if we can help you avoid some of them failures that we've had, and make you more, help you be successful and have a better time out there with your kids or just yourself or your wife or your girlfriend, you know, that's what we want to do. And hopefully, you know, you know, you find other people like that too, because there's a lot of them in the trapping world that are like that. There are some shitheads for sure, but there's shitheads in everything. In the church even. I know it's hard to believe, but even in the church there's shitheads. So on that, if you're a beginner trapper and you're having problems, let me think, and you don't ask, then you know, there's nothing I can do for you. You know, other than keep making videos and hopefully you see one of them. But I appreciate everybody tuning in this week. You know, we're going to try and, we've been missing some weeks when we were doing conventions. We also, you know, you know, had death in the family, went to funerals and, you know, just life stuff. So it hasn't been every week. We're going to try and do better about getting them up. As long as, you know, there isn't more weddings or on sudden deaths. So, and we're hoping that, you know, that there is no, you know, there is no more. So, not of the weddings, but you know what I mean. So anyways, I'll try to do better. I appreciate everybody tuning in and all the good and great friends I got out there and have always supported me. And for you people, I really do appreciate it. Trappers have always been good to me. So, and I appreciate it more than you know.